So you're tired of paying $2,800 a month to live above a vape shop with a broken dishwasher and a neighbor who thinks dubstep is a lifestyle. Yeah, same. But what if I told you CNBC just dropped a list of cities where rent is so affordable, you'd think it was a typo? Like, rent that makes you check 3 different websites just to confirm it's not a scam. These aren't dusty ghost towns or places where your only neighbors are cows. We're talking real cities. Some are state capitals, some are booming Midwestern hubs, but all of them have one thing in common. You can rent a full apartment for what you used to pay for parking. And yes, this list is backed by WalletHub, CNBC, and actual census data. So no, we didn't just pull it from a Reddit thread titled, "Places My Uncle Swears Are Cheap." Let's count down 10 US cities where the rent is so low, it actually feels illegal. And spoiler, San Francisco is not on this list. Let's go. Charleston, West Virginia. Welcome to Charleston. No, not the fancy one in South Carolina with shrimp and monocles. We're talking Charleston, West Virginia, where the rent is low, the traffic is non-existent, and your biggest complaint might be the local Walmart running out of porch swings. The average rent here? Around $1,000 for a 2-bedroom. That's not a typo. That's a Tuesday in Charleston. For comparison, that's what some people pay to park their car in New York City. And that spot doesn't even come with plumbing. So what's the catch? Well, Charleston's economy peaked somewhere around the coal era, and while it's rebounding, let's just say the nightlife ends at 8:45, and that's if the Cracker Barrel doesn't close early. But hey, if you're over the chaos, crowds, and $7 lattes made by angsty baristas, Charleston might just be your freedom plan. You'll get scenic mountain views, real seasons, and neighbors who say hi without expecting a Venmo request. Is it perfect? No, but when rent takes up less than 20% of your income, you stop noticing things like potholes and slow internet speeds. Charleston, West Virginia, the kind of place where you can rent cheap and still have money left over for actual hobbies, like birdwatching or aggressively not commuting. Toledo, Ohio. Toledo, the city where rent prices are stuck in 2008, and honestly, that might be the best thing about it. The average rent here for a 2-bedroom? Just $950 a month. That's not just affordable, is this legal? Affordable. And yes, it's a real city. It has highways, hospitals, and even a pretty decent art museum, because nothing says hidden gem like oil paintings next to potholes. Now, before you start packing your bags and canceling your overpriced lease in Phoenix, let's be real. Toledo isn't glamorous. It's not trending on TikTok. But you know what is trending? Paying your bills without crying. The economy here's got that Rust Belt flavor. Some parts are gritty, others are surprisingly polished. It's the kind of town where you can buy locally roasted coffee and see a guy selling car batteries out of a shopping cart, all in the same afternoon. But here's the deal. Toledo offers something big cities can't: breathing room. For under $1,000 a month, you can get an actual home with space, maybe even a porch, and a landlord who doesn't ghost you when the toilet breaks. So yeah, Toledo's not sexy. But it is smart. Rent's cheap, commutes are short, and the drama is low. And in 2025, that might be the ultimate flex. Peoria, Illinois. Peoria, the city that's so generically American, marketers literally test products here to see if the rest of the country will tolerate them. But you know what's not generic? The rent. As of August 2025, the average rent in Peoria is just $968 a month. That's 41% lower than the national average. Which means while your friends are blowing $3,000 for a 1-bedroom in Seattle, you're over here with a 2-bedroom, a backyard, and money left for dinner that's not ramen. And if you want to go big, a 3-bedroom rental runs about $1,300. That's less than what some people pay to share a closet in LA. So what's the catch? Well, Peoria is not exactly buzzing. Your Saturday options might include a farmer's market, a ball game, or aggressively organizing your garage. But here's the thing, that's kind of the point. Peoria is for people who want to afford life, not lease a lifestyle. Rent is cheap. Commutes are short. And the most pretentious thing downtown is probably a guy who puts cream cheese on a burger. So no, you won't see Peoria trending on TikTok. But if you're looking for peace, space, and a rent bill that doesn't feel like a hostage situation, Peoria delivers. Casper, Wyoming. Let's talk Casper, Wyoming, where the rent is so low, it almost feels like you're squatting, but legally. As of August 2025, the average rent here is just $1,001 per month. That's 39% below the national average, which means you can actually afford a one-bedroom without selling plasma. And get this, a two-bedroom runs about $1,167. That's rent and a fishing license, with money left over for bear spray. Casper is basically the anti-city city. You've got wide-open skies, real mountains, and neighbors who fix fences instead of filing noise complaints. But let's be clear, this isn't for people who need artisanal oat milk and a daily dopamine hit from overpriced brunch. This is for people who want space, peace, and rent that doesn't require a side hustle, a roommate, and a miracle. Downsides? Sure. The wind here has an attitude. Casper will rip the sunglasses off your face and throw your recycling into Nebraska. And yes, it's quiet. Like you can hear your fridge humming quiet. But if your dream is a porch, a view, and rent that's lower than your car insurance, Casper delivers. No gimmicks. No glam. Just livable, beautiful, and ridiculously affordable. Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Welcome to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where the rent is so cheap, you'll start questioning whether it's a scam or just the Midwest being the Midwest. As of August 2025, the average rent is just $789 a month. That's 52% below the national average. You could literally rent a one-bedroom for $789, a two-bedroom for $1,018, and still afford weekly cinnamon rolls from the Hy-Vee bakery. Move over, overpriced shoebox in LA. We've got porches out here. Here's the Cedar Rapids vibe. It's not pretending to be cool. You won't find any rooftop brunch spots with $19 toast. But you will find affordable homes, real neighborhoods, and people who will absolutely return your snow shovel if they borrow it. Want peace, quiet, and a driveway? Done. Need a solid coffee shop, grocery store, and enough parks to forget your inland? Cedar Rapids has it. It's like someone built a city for grown-ups who just want their life to make sense again. Sure, winter hits hard, but for $789 a month, you'll be too busy sipping hot cocoa inside your actual living room to care. And yes, the worst traffic here is usually a combine on a two-lane road. Bottom line? Cedar Rapids isn't flashy. It's functional. And in 2025, that's the new luxury. Fargo, North Dakota. Fargo, where it's cold enough to freeze your eyelashes, but warm enough that your rent won't give you a heart attack. As of August 2025, the average rent in Fargo is just $914 per month. That's a solid 44% below the national average of $1,637. A one-bedroom runs about $914, a two-bedroom lands around $1,081, and if you want to stretch out in a three-bedroom, you're looking at just $1,442. So yeah, Fargo isn't cheap just for fun. It's strategic, because while the rest of the country is throwing money at rent like it's a subscription service, folks in Fargo are stacking savings, not stress. Let's not sugarcoat it. Winter here means snow measured in feet, not inches. But the city handles it like a boss. Roads cleared, coffee hot, people still jogging like it's not 17 below. You won't hear excuses here. Just the sound of ice scrapers and solid life decisions. And speaking of solid, Fargo's economy is sneaky strong. Unemployment is low, the job market stable, and the people are so friendly they'll wave even when they cut you off. It's basically the Midwestern version of a soft landing. So no, you're not getting ocean views or rooftop bars with $18 cocktails. What you are getting is space, peace, and a rental price that won't make your bank app cry. Bottom line? Fargo isn't flashy. It's functional. And in 2025, that's not boring, that's brilliant. Overland Park, Kansas. Overland Park. It sounds like a suburb in a sitcom where nothing bad ever happens. And honestly, that's not far off. Except in this version, the rent is actually affordable and nobody's trying to turn your garage into a Pilates studio. As of August 2025, the average rent in Overland Park is $1,341 per month. That's 18% cheaper than the national average of $1,637. You can snag a one-bedroom for $1,341, a two-bedroom for around $1,662, and if you're really going full domestic bliss, a three-bedroom for about $2,070. Now sure, this isn't dirt cheap like West Virginia or Iowa, but here's the deal. Overland Park is stacked with value. Great public schools, clean neighborhoods, actual trees, and so many well-maintained parks it feels like the city's trying to impress your grandma. And don't worry, you're not stuck in the cornfields. Kansas City is 20 minutes away if you need live music, world-class barbecue, or a reminder of what traffic looks like. Overland Park is what happens when the suburbs go to therapy, get organized, and start meal prepping. It's calm, confident, and shockingly livable. The kind of place where rent doesn't feel like a punishment. Also, pro tip, your Amazon packages don't get stolen here. They get politely tucked behind a flower pot by a UPS driver named Carl who probably says, "Have a blessed day." Bottom line, Overland Park is for grown-ups. People with goals, budgets, and an allergy to chaos. And with rent this reasonable for what you're getting, it's not just affordable, it's a flex. Erie, Pennsylvania. Erie, Pennsylvania. The name sounds like a horror movie. But don't worry, the only scary thing here is how low the rent is. As of August 2025, the average rent in Erie is just $936 per month. That's a full 43% cheaper than the national average of $1,637. You could lock in a studio for $804, a one-bedroom for $936, and even a two-bedroom for around $1,398, which in LA would barely get you a storage unit behind a taco truck. So what's the catch? Well, Erie's not glamorous. It's a Rust Belt underdog trying to glow up, slowly. You've got old brick buildings, snow that overstays its welcome, and a downtown that's half charm, half under renovation since 2009. But here's what Erie does have. Lakefront views. Dirt cheap rent. Zero pressure to be cool. It's the kind of town where your barista is also your neighbor, and the mayor probably went to high school with your landlord. There's a real sense of community, and not the fake HOA newsletter kind. And let's talk lifestyle. Fishing? Yep. Breweries? Growing. Rent prices that let you save money and afford a life outside your apartment? That's the real flex. Sure, you might have to shovel your own driveway and drive 30 minutes to find a Trader Joe's. But at least you're not taking out a loan for rent. Bottom line? Erie is chill, cheap, and underrated. You're not moving here to impress anyone. You're moving here to finally breathe. Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where the rent is low, the crime is lower, and people still say hi at the grocery store without an ulterior motive. As of August 2025, the average rent in Sioux Falls is just $963 per month. That's 41% below the national average of $1,637. You'll pay about $867 for a studio, $963 for a one-bedroom, and around $1,165 for a two-bedroom. A three-bedroom? Still under $1,500. Try finding that in Phoenix. I'll wait. Now pair that with the median household income of $74,714, and you've got a rent-to-income ratio that's actually reasonable. Not two jobs and a GoFundMe for groceries. Reasonable, real reasonable. So what's the vibe? Safe, clean, and criminally underrated. You've got waterfalls in the city, breweries that host trivia nights, and neighbors who know your dog's name. Sioux Falls is like the Costco of American cities. Affordable, reliable, and weirdly impressive once you try it. The biggest downside? Winter. If you think 30 degrees is parka weather, this ain't for you. But if you can survive a snowstorm with a shovel and sarcasm, you'll thrive here. Sioux Falls is one of the few places in America where the math still works. High-ish wages, low rent, and absolutely zero Instagram influencers filming day-in-my-life content in the park. Bismarck, North Dakota. And finally, coming in hot at number 1, or rather freezing, Bismarck, North Dakota, the undisputed king of cheap rent in 2025. According to WalletHub's 2025 report, Bismarck has the most affordable rent in the entire country, and the data backs it up. As of August 2025, the average rent here is just $1,023 per month, which is 38% lower than the national average of $1,637. A one-bedroom runs $1,023, a two-bedroom hovers around $1,295, and if you want to go big, a three-bedroom will only set you back about $1,654. That's right, you can get a whole house in Bismarck for what a broom closet costs in Austin. Now I know what you're thinking. North Dakota? Isn't that just cows, cold, and tumbleweeds? Not quite. Bismarck is surprisingly stable. It's the capital city. It has one of the lowest unemployment rates in the U.S., and the median income? A solid $81,000. That's insane when you factor in how low rent is. You're not just saving money. You're basically hacking the American housing market. Is it cold? Absolutely. Winters here could scare off a Yeti. But the trade-off is peace, safety, space, and a monthly rent bill that doesn't require therapy after opening it. Plus, the people here? Quiet, friendly, and way too used to shoveling snow to get worked up about anything. If you want big sky, low bills, no nonsense, and a chance to actually save money in America, Bismarck might be your sleeper pick.